Welcome to the New Heights Show on Education. I'm Pamela Clark, founder and director of the New Heights Educational Group, and I'm here with David Smith, the founder of Silicon Valley High School, who has helped us get these podcasts produced and delivered to you.
Yes, Pamela, when we saw the great things that you and your army of volunteers were achieving at New Heights, we wanted to get involved. We're happy to work with you to leverage the internet and make quality education accessible and affordable to everyone, everywhere.
Thank you, David. We appreciate Silicon Valley High School helping us to get these podcasts out to the hundreds of thousands of listeners from all over the world. So I hope you enjoy the show.
In this week's episode, we will discuss education reform on mission.
Hello, everyone. This is Danielle Washington coming to you live from Ms. Buffie Williams' office. Just sitting around thinking about life and trying to become better people tonight, so check us out. Welcome back. You're on the air with Buffie Williams, and you have been listening to the New Heights Show on Education. We have been discussing the show's purpose on mission.
Good evening. This is your host, Buffie Williams, and you're listening to the New Heights Educational Group, the New Heights Show on Education. Tonight's topic is virtual education. On last week's show, we dove a little bit into STEM education in the K through 12 levels and how the growth of STEM jobs are on the rise in the world. Whether you are in a homeschool situation, public school, private school, charter school, or virtual school, these are things that are in the forefront of education and in the world as far as jobs and careers are concerned. But on tonight's episode, we're going to dive into virtual education. So let us hear your thoughts. Call us at 917-948-7542 or post your comments on Twitter at Buffy_Awaken or on Spreaker. Or you can follow me on Instagram and post your comments at Buffy_Williams and also on YouTube. Remember that my fellow New Heights host Erica Hansen's show airs on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. On tonight's show, I do have a quote for you regarding virtual education. And the quote reads, "The student of the future will demand the e-learning support that is appropriate for their situation and comfort. Nothing more, nothing less. And they want it at the moment the need arises. Not sooner, not later. Mobile devices will be the key technology providing that learning support." Dr. Marcus Spechet from the University of the Netherlands. And one of the things is mobile education is virtual education using mobile devices is something that is going to definitely be on the rise. And it also speaks to our last week's show when we talked about STEM education and the need for persons in the IT field or in the STEM technology field. And most students, I think, we take for granted that still in this era that we live in, we take for granted that homes actually have computers. And we also take for granted that they have access to high-speed internet. And those of us who work in a field where technology is very prevalent and it's very much a part of our day-to-day lives, we see the millennials or students in this particular era coming up with, tablets, and almost every child that you see who is a teenager that we see today has, if they don't have access to a mobile device, they actually know how to work a mobile device, whether it be through tablet form or actual cell phone. But what we're not taking into account is, do they have reliable high-speed internet and ways for in which that learning support will not be interrupted. When we're thinking about virtual education and what that truly means, the definition really refers to instructors in a learning environment where the teacher and the student are separated through time or space or both. And the teacher provides course content through course management applications of multimedia resources regarding over the internet or video conferencing, and sometimes that may even be teleconferencing. But when we talk about virtual education and virtual technology, or e-schools as some call it in the higher education realm, digital literacy is something that we automatically assume that students have. Yes, they know how to operate a mobile device, but when you're in an e-learning environment, that is a different type of learning structure and a different type of discipline that a child has to have. Most schools will have Google Classroom or some type of a virtual platform where the information can be housed, whether that's through a Blackboard system, which is a system that most colleges and universities use, and some virtual high schools use as well, where teachers are able to upload course content for the students to be able to access, and sometimes they can actually create exams, quizzes, and tests, and definitely upload information to be read by the student on this virtual platform for them to be able to do their lessons, or even have a classroom-like setting where they're actually meeting with their fellow peers, whether that be an open session where the students can access the information periodically throughout the day at their own leisure, or if the instructors are actually requiring them to say, hey, we're meeting for this particular class at 10 o'clock a.m., everybody has to chime on at that particular time or log on at that particular time and actually be in the classroom and interact with their classmates during that time, or whether they're posting information at a later time at their will or at their leisure, or at the pleasure of the instructor or the teacher at that time. But we're taking for granted that, number one, when we do these platforms, that we need to make sure that if mobile devices are going to be the primary way that these students access this information, are they in a place where the service is reliable? So when a student chooses to do virtual education, or a parent chooses to use virtual education as a tool for that child to learn, are they having access to the public library? Is the school a brick and mortar school and they can actually go to the physical school, do the work at home, or have the option to come into a media center or a learning commons, as some libraries are now being named? Are we giving them access to those learning common spaces or library media center spaces so that they have access to this? And then when we do that, how do we as a school system allot for transportation to and from school? And is that going to be on a continuous basis? So I think we're also talking about virtual education as a whole, maybe offering all your virtual classes in that virtual realm of education, and then also splicing the current structure of schools where you have part learning in-house and then part of your learning in an e-format or e-school format. And with that, there are built-in safety measures if you're using platforms like Blackboard and things like that, because you know that there's a secure line of communication. There may be some encryption on both ends so that no one can actually break into those systems. And no one can actually access that except for school administrators. So there's a safety aspect to this as well, which also increases the need for other STEM support and STEM technology within the school system. I know that our New Heights show on education, our New Heights Educational Group has a number of virtual education platforms out there, and I want to definitely go through those and take a glimpse into how high schools are actually closing the gap between high school and college through this virtual school and virtual education. And the New Heights Educational Group has free courses, and they also have discounted courses, online classes that parents can take advantage of in the e-format. And it's on the New Heights Educational Group Learning Annex. And they can register for these courses online. And some of the courses that they actually offer are Natural Speller. They have a financial literacy virtual education course, as well as the Orphan Train, and they offer Spanish, Japanese, and then the Holiday series. But we're going to talk a little bit more about the New Heights Educational Group and some of their educational virtual online resources, to include some of the resources that I have as a partner with the New Heights Educational Group. But at this time, we're going to take a brief pause and listen to a word from our sponsors. So we'll be back in just a moment.
Right now, you might be struggling through your classes or even failing them. You might be worried that you may not finish high school. There might have even been a thought that you may not be smart enough. Well, the New Heights Educational Group begs to differ. We not only think you are smart enough, but with our help, you will complete your high school diploma. The New Heights Educational Group strives to improve your academic success through its tutoring services. To learn more, please visit newheightseducation.org and contact us. New Heights Educational Group, educational resources to help reach your goals.
This podcast is brought to you by Silicon Valley High School, the world's fastest growing, video-based, self-paced, teacher-supported, fully accredited online school that's recommended by more than 96% of students. Take individual courses at just $95 each, or earn your high school diploma at any age. Check us out at svhs.co.
Welcome back. You're listening to the New Heights Educational Group, the New Heights Show on Education. I am your host, Buffy Williams, and tonight's topic is virtual education. And we talked a little about the offerings that the New Heights Educational Group has as far as the virtual education learning online. And most of the courses are offered under the New Heights Educational Group Learning Annex. And how education, or how virtual education, is transforming education in the virtual learning environment. And some of the resources that I use for tonight's show are off of course, the New Heights Educational Group website, and also the virtualhighschoollearning.org. And I want to talk about how virtual education leverages the connection that is provided to everyone regardless of their geographic location. And it also kind of bridges the gap, or levels the playing field of students who have limited English proficiency, because of course, if they're at home on their computer, they can change it to their own language and they can interpret the coursework more easily. And also, students who have a learning disability may have access to additional resources online. And we know that there are also tutoring aspects online where students are already using, and those are some of the things that we've talked about before on the show. We talked about Khan Academy and tutor.com and other resources that students can access virtually, but they also have to have a means of communication and a reliable internet source in order to make that a viable option for them. And so how are school systems going to navigate through, what's acceptable, and if